"Who's she?" my brother whispered. The room stood up in applause. The commander smiled. "General Grace Whitaker, our highest honor." My family froze in their seats, and my brother's smile disappeared. "Hey, Reddit. My name is Grace Whitaker, and the last time I saw my family, I was a scared 19-year-old girl stepping onto a midnight Greyhound bus with a duffel bag, a fading bruise on my pride, and no promise to return. I didn't cry, not in front of them, but I gripped the ticket in my fist like it was oxygen. I didn't know where it would take me, only that it was away from everything and everyone who made me feel like I wasn't enough. I wasn't the golden child. That was Ethan, my older brother. Smart, charming, full of potential, as everyone said. He went to a top university, captain of the debate team, president of the student council, full scholarship, all that. I, on the other hand, was just Grace. The sensitive one. The girl who never quite fit into their polished image of what success should look like. I remember the day I told them I wanted to join the military. I was sitting at the dinner table, hands shaking slightly as I slid the pamphlet across to my parents. My father barely looked up from his plate. My mother blinked in confusion, as if I told her I was moving to the moon. And Ethan? He just laughed. "You," he said, with that half smirk he always wore like armor. "Grace, you couldn't even handle summer camp. You cried when they ran out of almond milk at school." He was right about that. Back then, I wasn't tough. I was emotional. I felt everything too deeply, wore it all on my sleeve, and it made me an easy target in a house full of people who thought emotions were a weakness. But I knew something they didn't. I was tired of being underestimated. Fast forward 12 years, I wasn't the same Grace they remembered. I was a decorated soldier, a tactical operations expert, a strategic lead in multiple international missions. And now, I was about to become a general, the youngest female in my division's history. And today, I was being honored with a Star of Valor, the nation's highest military commendation. What my family didn't know was that the Department of Defense had reached out to them without my input. Some PR team thought it'd be heartwarming. A estranged family reunited at the pinnacle of military achievement, like something out of a Hallmark movie. I didn't protest. Let them come. Let them see. I had nothing to hide anymore. The ceremony was held at the Liberty Convention Center, a massive venue decked out with flags, gold trim, and media from every major outlet. The audience was a who's who of the military world. Generals, admirals, veterans, political officials, and now my family, apparently. I stood backstage, fully uniformed, shoulders square, my hair in regulation bun, medals lined in perfect rows across my chest. I could hear the orchestra begin its swelling intro. My heart didn't race. Not anymore. Years of field combat had taught me how to breathe through chaos, but I was aware, very aware, of the people sitting in the front row. My mother, probably clutching her purse like it was a lifeline. My father, likely still with that disapproving frown he wore like a permanent accessory. And Ethan, well, if I knew him, he was probably scanning the crowd, waiting to be recognized, thinking he might be the reason they were here. And now, the speaker's voice boomed through the hall, "We come to the highest honor of the evening. This recipient's courage, leadership, and sacrifice during Operation Silent Ember and her extraordinary work in rebuilding Pacific Command strategy has redefined modern warfare." Applause rippled through the room. She is a leader, a protector, and a symbol of resilience. Please rise and welcome General Grace Whitaker, recipient of the Star of Valor. The room exploded in applause. Hundreds of people stood. Cameras clicked. Flags waved. And I walked out, not as the forgotten daughter, not as Ethan's weird little sister, but as General Whitaker. They didn't recognize me at first. Later, one of my aides told me exactly what happened in those front row seats. Ethan leaned over to my mom and asked, "Who's she?" My mom tilted her head, confused. My dad's brows furrowed. They didn't know until the commander smiled, turned to the crowd, and said it again clearly. "General Grace Whitaker, our highest honor." And just like that, the air shifted. They froze. Ethan's confident smirk disappeared. My mother gasped. My father's face went stone cold. The little sister they'd forgotten, dismissed, left behind, was now the face of national honor. I accepted the medal with grace, no pun intended. I saluted. I turned to face the roaring crowd, and my eyes landed, unshaken, on the front row. I didn't smile, but I didn't flinch either. Their eyes were locked on me. Disbelief, shock, maybe even a sliver of regret, but that wasn't my concern anymore. Backstage, the buzz was electric. Reporters wanted quotes. Officers offered congratulations. A few old commanders gave respectful nods. Then one of the event aides approached. "Ma'am," she said gently, "your family, they're here. They asked if you'd be willing to meet them in the green room." I didn't answer right away. It had been over a decade. No calls, no letters, not even a birthday text. I had built myself from the ground up with no help, no encouragement, and no belief from them. But maybe that's exactly why I needed to walk into that room. Not for closure, not for validation, but for me. To finally confront the people who doubted me and show them who I became without their permission. I nodded once. "Give me 5 minutes." She led me toward the green room, and with every step, I felt my past and present colliding in one inevitable moment. They didn't know it yet, but the Grace they remembered, she was long gone, and what they were about to face was General Whitaker. The green room was quiet, too quiet, considering the thunder of applause still echoing faintly from the main hall. The walls were cream-colored, minimalistic, with a table of untouched refreshments and a few armchairs placed awkwardly around the space. And there they were, my family, sitting stiffly like they were waiting for a funeral to start. My mother stood first. Her hands clutched the strap of her purse, so tightly her knuckles were white. She opened her mouth like she had something rehearsed, a line maybe, but nothing came out. Ethan rose slowly next. His eyes scanned me from head to toe, clearly trying to process what he was seeing. My father remained seated, as if standing would mean admitting he'd misjudged me for over a decade. "Hi, Grace," Ethan said finally, forcing a little chuckle, or should I say, General Whitaker. His tone was light, joking, the same way he used to downplay things, always trying to keep the upper hand by pretending nothing ever bothered him. But this time, I didn't laugh. I didn't give him that power. Instead, I straightened my spine and looked directly at them. "Didn't expect to see me, did you?" My father cleared his throat. "We didn't know. You didn't want to know." I corrected my voice calm. "There's a difference." My mother stepped forward, her voice finally working. "Grace, we didn't know you were going to go so far because you never believed I could," I replied. "You never even asked how I was for 12 years. They all went silent. I let the quiet settle over them like dust. Then I walked to the side table, poured a glass of water from the crystal pitcher, and took my time drinking it. I could feel their eyes on me, not with pity, not even with shame, but with discomfort. And for once, I didn't shrink under it. "Do you know what it felt like," I said finally, "to leave that house with no one believing in me? To have my own brother laugh in my face when I said, I wanted to serve this country." Ethan flinched at that. "Good. I thought you were being impulsive," he said quietly. "You'd never talked about the military before." Maybe because I was too busy trying to get anyone in this family to take me seriously, I shot back. "You all had me pegged as the emotional one, the dramatic one, the burden." So I stopped talking and started acting. My father finally stood up. "Grace, I may have been hard on you. I thought I was preparing you for the real world." "No," I said. "You were preparing me for your world, one where only the loudest voices mattered and softness was weakness. But the real world, it rewards discipline, resilience, leadership. Everything you said, I didn't have." My mother's eyes welled up. "You've changed so much." I looked her straight in the eye. "No. I've just become who I always was without any of your limits." Ethan sat down again, his elbows on his knees, staring at the floor. "I didn't know what you were doing. I thought you were gone. I mean, we searched your name online once, a few years ago, but there wasn't much." "That's because I didn't want to be found," I said simply. He looked up. "So what now? We're just strangers." "That's up to you," I said. "But I'm not here to fix things. I came because I needed you to see what I became without you. And frankly, that's enough for me." They looked stunned. I don't think any of them expected this version of me. For so long, I had played the role they handed me, quiet, compliant, forgettable. They weren't ready for someone who had outgrown every expectation they ever set. Ethan finally spoke again, softer this time. "I'm sorry, Grace, for what I said back then and for not reaching out." I gave him a long look. I believe in change, Ethan, but not apologies without action. He nodded slowly. Then my mother did something I didn't expect. She walked over, took my hand cautiously like I might pull away, and said, "We're proud of you." I let her hold it for a second, then I gently pulled my hand back. "Thank you," I said. "But I didn't do this for you. I did it for me. I needed to know that I could build a life worth standing for, even if no one stood beside me at the start." A knock came at the door. "General Whitaker," an aide said through the door. "The press is ready. You're wanted for a photo session and interviews." "Be right there," I replied. I turned back to my family. This is my life now. A life I earned, not given. I have people who depend on me, troops I'd lay my life down for, and a name I've rebuilt from scratch. They didn't stop me when I walked toward the door. But just before I stepped out, Ethan called after me. "Grace." I turned halfway. He stood there looking more like a boy than the arrogant brother I once knew. "Would it be okay if I told people you're my sister?" I studied him, then said quietly, "Only if you mean it." And I left. The sun was setting as I stepped out into the flash of cameras. Officers greeted me. Reporters asked questions. My fellow soldiers clapped me on the back. The world saw me as General Grace Whitaker, one of the most decorated leaders in the force. But I knew something even deeper. I had won a different kind of battle today, not on the field, but in the heart of where it all began. And as I stood there, surrounded by respect I earned on my own terms, I finally allowed myself a small smile, not for them, for me. And for the first time in my life, I didn't need anyone's approval to feel proud. I wasn't the forgotten daughter anymore. I was a leader, a survivor, a name spoken with honor. And as I walked forward into the lights, I realized some stories don't need to be rewritten. They just need to be lived loud enough that the world can't ignore them anymore.